Exercise and active aging, I just want to focus, I'm always going to come back around to the importance of what we enjoy doing in everyday life. So exercise helps you, show people you care about, grandkids, loved ones, also golfing, taking care of your home, and things like gardening. Those things make life worth living. These are three things I'm going to cover today. I'm going to interweave some studies, not too many, and also I'm going to be you're going to meet some of my clients as well too. I want to start the tone with this quote here, just to really remind you to empower you to take control of your health and also just be vigilant about what resources you have available to you. The functional independence, what does that mean? This is things like pushing things, pulling things, lifting things, moving around, basically what you need to use your body to do to enjoy your life and things you have to do. This is a graphic here that I like that kind of talks about the trajectory here. So functional capacity, that's your capacity to be able to do the things that I was talking about. So of course, on the lower end of the scale, harder time doing it. Higher end of the scale, you're able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. The threshold there, that could be everything from a life event, car accident, chronic issues that you have. What I want to just highlight first before I talk more is that if you're in this threshold, doesn't mean you can't move better. There are always opportunities to find a way to move better with less pain. But starting with the green here, of course, the trajectory that we want, we're able to continue doing what you want to do. You have a high capacity of movement, of functional capacity versus the orange. For many reasons, again, this could be here, or it could be just that somebody really isn't taking care of their health. You haven't exercised, you're not moving that well, and all of a sudden they hit older age and things start happening where they can't move. But that is not a time to stop, it's not a time to give up, it's time to lean into exercise and taking care of yourself. These are the pedals I was talking about. Don't be overwhelmed by these. I can't take credit for this graphic here. This is by Functional Aging Institute. I got my certification with them when I first became a trainer. I knew I wanted to work with people like you. Very progressive certification series. You're going to help you move better in everyday life. This is kind of way they look at training. So not just strength training or core exercise, more of a more comprehensive way of thinking about how to help you move in everyday life. I'm going to be moving in a counterclockwise direction here, talking about mobility, balance, cardiorespiratory, musculoskeletal, neuromuscular, and cognitive emotional. I know for lack of time, I'm not going to be spending too much time on each of these, but give you some information and also some examples of how exercise can help in these areas. Mobility, talk about the joints. So that's why I highlighted this right here. So ability to reach your hand above your head, get down on the floor, really be able to move your body again with not much physical hindrance. So for example, this moment right here, getting down to the ground to be able to read off her iPad probably to her grandkids, assume. This takes mobility. She could have sat on the couch, we sat on the ground. She maybe sat there and scooted down on the ground, but either way, she's to get back up to standing. What we don't want for her is to say, you know what, I can't come down there, it's too much for me, I'm gonna sit on the couch instead. So it's important to really for her and people like her to lean into moving better. So who the pedals of mobility? First, floor sit to stand. I'm young enough to remember the commercial, I've fallen, I can't get up. It was funny when I was a kid, but of course it's not funny now, the kind of work that I do. Because the last thing I want for somebody to say that, I want them to be confident in getting to the ground. Oftentimes people have that fear of getting to the ground. It raises the risk of falls. We definitely don't want that. And the floor sit to stand is a full body movement that everybody can do. I don't care how ugly it is, how long it takes. But the thing is, that confidence can literally save somebody's life. Optional negotiation, that is walking upstairs, navigating curbs, dodging toys on the floor, all that and the above. Running gait and walking gait, this is kind of how smooth you're able to walk. If you have issues with your hips or your knees or your ankles, and you have problems walking over things or walking just in a straight line. Exercise and mobility is really important to be able to do that easier. And agility, I don't expect you to be a gymnast, but I want you to be able to move relatively light on your feet to navigate things like stairs or like a dog that might cross your path, or just maybe just shifting your hands and shifting your weight when you're walking upstairs. All of that is really important. One thing I want to double tap here with mobility, a lot of times when we think of mobility of the joints, we think about the shoulders, fingers, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Same with stretching. But oftentimes people forget about the feet. And I get it. It can be area, there's a lot of pain there, but the issue is it would be spend time to, let's say, a roll or a tennis ball or treat yourself to a foot massage. This is the platform that you move on all day long. If there's pain or issues down there, it's going to affect people up the chain, even their lower back or their shoulders. So I always encourage people to give their feet some love. If they can get out of their shoes, that's great. It doesn't have to be anything extreme. You're going to see my clients today doing some movements without shoes. It's all about safety, of course, too. But just don't neglect the feet when it comes to stretching and mobility. All right, activities. These might be kind of nuanced, seemingly easy, but what I don't want people to start avoiding to do this. Like, I'm going to get that change later. I can't get this right now, or I have somebody help me get that from the couch. That's the last thing I want somebody to feel or do. Hinging can help. You're going to see next a video of one of my clients doing hinging. Deadlifts, and honestly, it's a fancy name, a fancy fitness term for picking something up off the ground. We all have to do it. Doesn't matter, you're not a power lifter or lifting heavy weight, but you still want the confidence to be able to lift something off the ground easily. Floor standing, of course, too. All right, this is my client, Ruth. She's my oldest client. She's 85 years old. This video is going to pause a couple times when she's putting stuff on the ground. She's lifting a 20-pound sandbag here up onto this platform. So that's a hinge right there. Hips are back. Her hamstrings or glute are taking the weight right there. She's walking over. She's putting it back on the ground. Core strength is good here, and also balance as well too for her to do this. When I was talking before about real life and exercise, this is a good example here. I've known Ruth longer than I've been a trainer. I've known her, she's probably close to 10 years or so. When I met her, she was doing farmers markets. She still is once a week. She does this movement at the farmers market. She picks up something off the ground or a lower level and puts it on a higher platform. There's no better way for her to be confident and be able to do this for as long as possible when she's training with me. This is a more structured hinge like you would do in the gym. So this is a pole here that we ask her to have this connect to 3 points of her body, her head, upper back, and lower back. Notice she's standing tall. And of course, if she has shoulder issues, I wouldn't have her do this. I would have to find another way for her to do this without lighting up her shoulders. Ears, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles are all in line. She's standing nice and tall, and she's looking straight forward. She's not looking down. We're going to ask her to drive her hips back. We're going to keep her knees in locked. Knees are going to stay above her ankles there. And the stick is great because it gives her feedback. So if she was rounding her back, it would stop touching those points. I could probably talk for 20 minutes about hinges because honestly, this is one of the things that many people, it looks really simple, but when they try it, it can be really difficult. Like at UCSD, with the people that I work with that we work with who have injuries, a lot of times the people who do work on the ground and they have pretty muscular backs, so they have to hold those, the backpacks, the blowers, their backs are very muscular, but they might not have the best strategy of picking something up. They're not have that much mobility back here. So it's a time to work on it. It can take sessions. It can take time to be able to hinge better, but it's going to add up. It can really help people. People with lower back pain, their hinge strategy might not be the best, but the more they work on it, they can help them. And so let's say it's really hard for her. We would have her drop the stick and put her hands on something and hold on to it and just breathe instead. I have the hinge here just like the reminder. So all the movement happens here in the middle of the hinge, just like with her hip. That's when the movement happens. Real life, these two. I would say his strategy isn't the best. Look at that rounded back, lots of muscle there, but he can probably practice a better way to hinge. Regardless how heavy or light what he's picking up, turn on people who pick up the smallest thing and their back lights up. Not to say the strategy isn't the best, but still there's room for improvement here. Hers is pretty good. And I know in everyday life, you might have the strict form like you do in the gym, might not be exactly right, but still, there's still room to move better here. And hinging is found in many movements you do in everyday life. The more people practice it, the more they start seeing they hinge doing just nuanced things in everyday life. Next, I'm going to show the statistics from a study. This is from the ACL, Administration for Community Living. Pretty comprehensive. Every couple of years it comes out, and the last one was 2021. I would check this out. It's a really good study. Okay, So physical functioning, we've talked before, is about being able to push things, pull things, everyday life activities, 65 and up. As you see, I'm gonna direct your attention to the 40% here, difficulty with mobility. Once you see this, I'm probably thinking the same thing, is that how do they define mobility in this? This is self-reported here. So I looked at the National Health Interview Survey, and if I didn't miss it, it looks like all of them were about walking. That's how reported difficult walking in different directions or quickly or upstairs or different, like up to sideways, 40%. So it might not include shoulder issues, still very significant. Not just another area could also help with this too with exercise. Also, cognition and self-care. You've probably seen the article, we had a speaker here talking about brain health and exercise. So this is significant here. Also, self-care. In my opinion, self-care is more like clothing yourself, bathing yourself, using your shoulders to get something behind you. That's important. This is pretty low. Personally, I think this is low because a lot of these people might report it with mobility instead. Either way, 3 areas of these ones here that can definitely benefit from exercise. They might not reduce all their pain or issues, but still they have the opportunity to move in a direction that can move better in everyday life. I put this here just as a reminder. This is probably, it seems pretty logical here, is that if you start restricting your movement, if you can't move that well, it's going to affect what you do. It's going to affect if you get out of the house. And of course, we don't want that. I'm sure you've probably seen some of the studies and research talking about loneliness in active agers. We definitely don't want that. So I want people to find ways to move better, so they can live their best lives and enjoy their friends and enjoy going. All right, this is Ruth doing a floor to standing here. So she's hitting pretty much every joint. She's hitting wrists, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, a little bit of the toes. She's had one knee replaced. She has another one probably going to do in a couple months or so. Hurt her wrist a little bit ago. She's good now, but she can do it on her own. And notice there's nothing for her to hold on to here. I personally don't want anybody to do that because in real life, you might not have something there. And we definitely don't want you to hold on something like a chair that might flip on you and hurt you. People can always find a strategy for this to get up, even if you have some like a knee or something like that that's bothering you. Because the last thing we want her is to be stuck on the floor and can't get up on her own. Okay, this is me doing a mobility drill. I can't take credit for this. I learned this from an organization called Original Strength. They have great information out there for trainers and also people like you to learn how to move better. So this is hitting my wrists, shoulders, knees, ankles, and a lot of body parts of my body that often could be tight in people. One thing they have to encourage for this when you're doing these kind of movements is not to move into pain or tightness. If my circle that I'm going there is too big for you, you want to change your range of motion so it's smaller, so there's less pain or tightness. And of course, you probably want to matter something like that down there to protect your knees and your shoulders and your elbows. So always make sure that you're breathing, you're not holding your breath during this. You're going to see me do this from the side as well too, so you can see what else I do. But a lot of clients find this helpful because they can really see what parts of their body they're more tight in. I mean, holding a stretch is great. Sometimes movement based can be a lot helpful because right here on my neck, I'm seeing what's tight and what's not. Notice I'm tucking my chin in. I'm not dumping my neck down and going side to side. If I'm tight up here, I'm going to keep it light. Especially here, people are often tight right there. So go easy with that if you're tight. But sometimes one leg is tighter than the other. And it's kind of a body awareness and knowing where you're tight at. I don't have any shoes on here to really work on ankle mobility, especially right here. All right, this is my client, Martha, doing some lateral movement on the ladder. She has done this longer than I've been a trainer, so I can take credit for all of her benefits on this, but still, she's really good that she enjoys going on the ladder. You don't have to have this tool, of course, to do this on your own, but the benefit here is just the confidence of moving side to side like that. And pretty much light in her feet, her heels aren't touching much. If anybody is doing it for the first time, of course, you're going to do this slowly. You're going to take it in steps. You're not going to rush. Balance. Let's look at her right here on the computer. Everything's going great, getting some work done, got a smile on her face. This computer crashes, it's not so happy then. Kind of like balance. A lot of times in real life, we're moving around, we take our balance for granted. doing things, we're getting the groceries, we're going upstairs, we're talking to people, we're taking directions. There might be a point where sometimes people notice their balance isn't that good. That's when things like the computer crashes. That's not a time though to stop to say, okay, this is going to be a part of my life now. My balance is going to get worse. The time to lean into exercise and find a way to move better. So with balance here, these kind of things like posture strategies, center of gravity control, that can be worked during when you're practicing balance. I can't force you to stand tall. Sometimes with posture, people they have to work on their back might be kind of tight or something. You have to get somebody to help loosen up the area. That helps also. Things like yoga, center of gravity control, things like yoga can help as well too. With fitness, that's really just really practicing it and getting used to it, and also being able to use your balance when you're moving. Multisensory, that's kind of like when you're instead of balancing one leg, there's other things involved that can negatively affect your balance. There's many studies about things like this regarding hearing loss and vision that can affect your balance, and also cognitive ability too. And so I get it. So I'm trying reminding loved ones and friends about this can be hard. I definitely you don't want to nag them, but just remind them occasionally, like, hey, like take care of your hearing because eventually it might affect your balance more than you think. Okay, these activities involve balance. It's all about movement. Very rarely might not use it much when you're sitting. Maybe if you're sitting on an unstable surface, you might be notice your balance more. Or of course, if you're doing yoga or like focus more so on balance. Exercise. Static balance training is great. That's usually what people think about when they think of balance training. So you're standing on one leg, you're bouncing on that, like when you're brushing your teeth or something like that. If that's hard for somebody, that's where they start. Especially if you have to put your hands on something, that's great. But honestly, if this becomes easy, it's time to start moving because life involves movement. And so any kind of movement, no matter how subtle, can help people be more confident when they're moving in everyday life. So this is my client, previous client, Lita, doing a lateral step to balance. She's stepping on her right foot, pushing off, and when she can nail it, which is right here, single leg balance, and then push the ball straight up. So again, the prerequisite for this is being able comfortable standing on one leg. I wouldn't have somebody do this if they're afraid to balance on one leg. This has become later. And you notice too, at the end of it, ear, shoulder, ankle are all in line. She's nice and tall. She always finishes with a tall position. You can also drop the ball, have her hand on something. But again, a prerequisite for this is really being able to own a single leg balance at a time. All right, this is a staggered stance. These are my clients, Nancy and Randy here. You're going to see, look on the left at Nancy's back foot. Soon you're going to see her back heel off the ground. Right about there. Okay. She could have her heel down as well. That makes the challenge a little bit harder, but still, prerequisite for this is, of course, holding that stance. Holding the staggered stance is not easy. Shoes off, of course, here really forces their ankles to really work the stability there. But when they're ready, they would do something like this and throw a ball back and forth. But people are often surprised how difficult this staggered stance can be. Here we go again, staggered stance with a previous client, Karen. So if you can see the muscle in her leg, she's working there. This isn't easy. Good for ankle stability as well there too. Back heels off the ground. You can't see yet what she's doing up top, but you can tell she's putting some work in here. And soon, right there, okay, there's a fitness ball right there. She's pushing it in 3 directions and keeping her lower half of her body quiet. So that's movement there. She resets, takes it one more time, and then continues. So this is great to help people work on movement and balance. Of course, she can just push that ball straight forward instead, because pushing the ball away from her body, really focusing her center of gravity and owning that position. Notice her tall position there the whole time, which is great. Other ways to work on balance. Tai Chi, yoga, dancing. Many ways to do it. So you don't have to do that structured exercise I just showed you. Especially with dance, you're turning your brain off, you're enjoying the music, you're having fun, but hey, you're still working on your balance at the same time. Let you read this first before I continue. So I put this here to kind of reminder too about other things other than balance training. So vision, shoes, medications, all other ways to think about when you're not exercising and to help be vigilant about your health. This is a great article by NPR, story by NPR you can check out. Cardio. I get it. Some people aren't excited about cardio, but as you all know, it's good for your heart. But also, I want you to be able to short bursts of things you need to do in life when a situation calls for it, moving quickly. So with cardio, we've got aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobics more so steady state. Let's say that I want to run at a 10-minute pace, which is relatively easy for me, but a 10-minute pace the whole time. Or anaerobic, I want to go, let's say, a 7 or 8-minute pace quickly. This is all relative. My steady or fast is mine, not yours. So it's whatever relative to that person. A lot of times with cardio, people like, okay, I'll run or I do the bike or my treadmill and like, okay, I get bored with it. What can I do differently? These are some good examples for you. So we have intensity. Go for a hike, find some hills. Good way to add some intensity to that. Or for pace, instead of going for like a 9-minute mile, go for an 8-minute mile. You can go, let's say I do 3 miles a day, go for a mile at a quicker pace, or power walking. Time and duration, you do something like intervals. Minute quickly, 30 minutes easy, on and off. That way people find more excitement with that. You can do it on a treadmill. There's often programs like that on a treadmill you can find, or on the bike. And lastly, variation. You can stop doing all this and then, hey, go out and play some pickleball or tennis. And your goal is more so playing the game, beating your opponent, than focusing on finishing the cardio. And also, too, a reminder is that things like aquarobics are great. Many people of all ages think this is easy. And usually they're wrong. I've led classes myself, and people during the class, when they walk out of the pool, they're surprised how hard of a workout it is. It's also good for balance training, and also good for it's lower impact on your joints. And the pools that have a certain temperature are good for people's joints that have arthritis as well. And also you have somebody leading the class who knows what they're talking about and how to lead the class. And you have a great group here to help with camaraderie. If you haven't seen these before, these are like foam weights. There's different sizes that when you push them in the water, they create different kinds of resistance. And a reminder too, that strength training can provide a cardio benefit as well. This is a former client of mine again, Lita, doing a 30-second sit to stand test here. This often can be used as an assessment for endurance and leg strength. She did 20 in 30 seconds, which is great. If she did under 10, that is a flag that shows a display of risk for falls, which we don't want. So if I had that something happen, we'd find a way to work on her balance and leg strength. She can do this easier. And as you can imagine, this gets her heart rate up too. Of course, I didn't have her do this for the whole session. I just had her do it once a session. It was kind of like a goal for her to see how well she can do in this. Cognitive and emotional. I kind of see these pedals as a two-fer here, like one that's more literal, other one's more figurative. So all of these pedals here, exercise can help. So with confidence, I get it when people haven't been in the gym in a while. The gym itself can be kind of intimidating. With confidence, motivation to even exercise in general. With memory issues might be a problem. Problem solving. Many times something new, you're like, what's my form? And it could be really overwhelming at that time. And pain is a big deal too, because pain can be a big distractor. Like arthritis can help with that. There's good Arthritis Foundation has many good resources regarding that, how to keep on continuing to work out with arthritis. Okay, so that's the literal. Figurative questions I would ask you is what motivates you? Like what motivates you to exercise? It could be just longevity. It could be enjoying your family for as long as your time, or staying in your home, enjoying the things you like doing. Also, though, what are you avoiding? Are you avoiding things like this because of the confidence, because of problem solving or the pain? If that's the case, then of course the next thing is, are you getting help? Who are your people? We have a mechanic, we have a dentist, but these people can help you as well too. Medical professionals, let's say, to help with your vision or your hearing, are diagnosed and also clear you to do exercise in general, like with your hips or your shoulders or your knees. Also, bodywork. If you're open to it, they can really be a game changer. Things like chiropractors or acupuncture or targeted bodywork, not feel-good massages, but really targeted. Sometimes people are kind of tight in some area that can pull from somewhere else. Like for the lower back issues, could be coming from somewhere else. Sometimes with knee pain, it's coming from the hips or the ankle. So things like that, these individuals are really knowledgeable and they can see you walk in the room, they're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. So They can really help you, especially when I have clients that work with them. They can help us move better in the gym as well too. Other allies, friends, families that can help refer you to people that can help you move better. Neuromuscular, good for your brain. We do this often in everyday life. People don't think they have much coordination, but to get in and out of the car takes coordination, takes motor control. So things like this are important in everyday life. Proprioception is kind of just knowing how your body moves in space. If you do yoga, you would understand this, or just even learning a new way of moving takes time. That's kind of learning how to move your body in space. All right, this is Ruth doing what we call a variation of a lunge matrix here. She's stepping in various directions and bouncing the ball. Coordination, she has to catch the ball and not hit herself in the face, of course. Really subtle, but she rotates her palms back toward herself so the ball doesn't bounce away. This is good balance training. And of course, if it's easy, I have somebody with a heavier ball, so they wouldn't bounce it, but they would just rotate over that leg. And also for her, she enjoys doing it. It's really stimulating to her. Also here, we're working on her posture. She's sitting nice and tall. She's not leaning over. A lot going on here, but a lot of good benefits. Again, ladder with Martha here. Again, you don't need a ladder. This is something called the grapevine. Somebody would take this slowly for the first time. She's stepping to the side and bringing her foot behind her, which can be a lot. People like get tripped up. So if this is too much, they would do this with their hands against the wall, very slow to get that confidence level up. But still, this helps her in every life to be confident when she moves around. All right, strength training, bone density. Two things are important for everybody of every age. So power, I'm going to go back to Ruth's slide talking about power. Some people don't think we use power in every life. You might not be a power lifter, you lift a heavy weight, but still, this right here, her stepping forward and pushing off right there, that's power. It's small bursts of using your strength quickly. And so we do this when we're opening up a 7-car door, or if we're pushing something that's kind of heavy, we use power in everyday life. So it's good to practice that even in small pieces when you're working out. This is my client Sophie doing a deadlift. Again, fancy name for picking something up. Some use a hex bar. You don't need this tool. You use a dumbbell, or it's really just practicing how to hinge when you're picking things up. Is the most important thing. Back to Ruth again. She is working on her bone density here. She is stepping to the side and stomping. A lot of research out there talking about stomping and impact exercises and bone health. This is helping her hips here, bone health of her hips. So you see her right arm come out a little bit. It's just she's compensating for her balance, but you're going to see in a couple of seconds, she's going to work this out. Right. There, boom. Okay, hands in her pockets. She's standing tall, got a smile on her face, and she continues. So we got good posture here, ear, shoulder, hip, ankle, all in line. So we do this for like 20 or so steps. So a little bit goes a long way, but stomping is one way to help with bone density. Ruth here pushing 12-pound dumbbells. Don't have dumbbells, that's fine. There's other ways to work on upper body strength as well too. And of course, it also helps with bone density. All right, this is me doing a wall push-up. Another variation of the chest presses here. So on my toes, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders in line. I'm thinking nice and tall. You see the camera come around me. On my toes again, forearms on the wall, palms up to the wall. I walk back and then push away. The thing is here, even if it's difficult, you would start, I'll bring my feet closer to the wall if it's hard, further away if it's easy. There's always options for this. People are often surprised how much it hits their triceps during this exercise. Martha doing rows here. Main thing is look at her form. Good straight line, hip, shoulder, head. No matter what the tool you use, want to make sure you use good form. Okay, starting to wrap up here. Just a reminder here about independence. So activities of daily life what we have to do: clothe ourselves, bathe ourselves, do our chores. Everything else, things will make life fun, what we want to do. Both are super important when it comes to our independence and doing what we want to do in life. Back to the pedals one more time. Hopefully it's less overwhelming if it was before. But just as you probably saw, I'm not talking about 6 different exercises here. There's a lot of overlap here between strength training or balance training, the benefits that can help you move better in everyday life. One more thing I just want to call out here is the elephant in the room. There's a lot of ageism that goes on in society, as you're well aware of. Same thing in the fitness industry. It's gotten better. There's more leaders in the industry like ACE or other organizations like that provide more progressive certifications for people like me to help you move better. But still, there's articles out here like this about what you shouldn't do, because a lot of times when it comes to younger people, there's articles like that about them. So this doesn't help. And I get it if people feel like this, that squats are bad for their knees, but a lot of times they have this idea they have to do a certain way. You have to have a lot of weight in your hand or squat really deep. But I usually say, hey, use the bathroom, right? Like you have to sit down, you have to sit in a chair. And so that's your variation of a squat. And so that's the best place to start to help yourself move better. So don't think you have to do it the way you see like in videos. Gentle exercises. I get it, and some exercises have to be slow or easy, but in real life, we have to use strength and power and things like that. So gentle is good, but just because of your age doesn't mean you should do gentle exercises. And this idea right here is a self-fulfilling prophecy here. People that think this is true, it's a bad trajectory to falls because it's not a normal part of aging. And just to highlight, when I talk about falls, I'm talking about avoidable falls, not if you're out trail running or if you're doing some sport. Falls can happen. It's kind of part of that. I'm talking about just walking across the floor or changing direction, really subtle. Those are the kind of falls I want you to avoid. And the more you lean into exercise and balance training, you'll understand that this is untrue. The last thing to leave you with here is just it's all connected. The more that you do any various forms of exercise, whether in the gym, whether outside, or however you want to do it, or in the water, this is great. But this is where the fun happens here. On trips and vacations, hanging out with loved ones, gardening, golf. This is where life is great, but the work you put in here will all pay off. All right. Thank you.